Shalom, shalom, Israel. Can everybody hear me all right? If I can get a one in the chat if y'all can hear me all right. Can y'all hear me all right? Okay, the water, the water. All right, we are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street under Commanding General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite or Christian group. This is Monday night's history class. I want to say Shalom Yahweh Shem Shabbat to the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shemar Alathan by Shem Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Let's see who is in the building. All right. We got Officer Yagadar in the building. We got Trooper Kazaki in the building. And we have Sister Coco in the building. All right, all right. So before we get into tonight's lesson, and I'm sure that I'm not going to spend much time on this because I'm sure men above me are going to probably address it fully. But I just want to give a round of applause. Let's give a hand to them brothers and sisters out in Alabama, I believe it was, at that dock. Who has seen that video? Give me a one in the chat if you have seen that video of them brothers and sisters out there tearing Esau completely apart. Who has seen that video? I believe Sister Coco has seen that video. that 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 video was just, I mean, nah, you know what I mean? I was just so proud of them brothers and sisters out there. I was so proud. Okay, so several of y'all have seen it. All right, all right. Rib Officer Yagadar's in the building. Shalom, sis. Yeah, that video is amazing. That video is amazing. That video is a wonderful example of how we should be sticking together and coming together. When the brother when the brother threw the hat up in the air, and it was like the switch went on, and the brother that came across the water, come on, I did not expect. Listen, stereotype or no stereotype, we typically don't do it with the water too tight. That brother swam across that water to go help his brother out. It's absolute brotherhood. It was an absolute display of brotherhood, and I was very, very, listen, I can't say enough how proud I was to see those brothers and sisters come together. Now the sisters, you know, we sisters don't necessarily go to war, but those sisters were dealing with the Shesaw out there, and the brothers were dealing with everybody. So I just want to take the time to just acknowledge that, because that was a wonderful display of brotherhood. Damn right, as Officer Yagadar said, that was absolute brotherhood 101. Okay, Rib Officer Yagadar. So that brother was 16. We talking about the one that swam across? If that brother is 16 and has that kind of spirit for his people, somebody needs to get in contact with him and get him in this school. That was awesome. That was a wonderful, again, just a wonderful, wonderful display. So want to get them folks credit, get them a hand. I hope they keep it up out there. Okay, all right. So he was 16. That is amazing. Even better, even better, even better. All right. So we're gonna get into the class. Um, so as y'all can see, the hold on, let's see, 16. Because Con 16, he said he didn't need any more money. He was good. So that was another thing I was wondering, because I know I kept hearing people talk about a GoFundMe, but I haven't seen anything like that. And I know there were at least one arrest out there. I don't know if anybody started a GoFundMe for that brother. Um, Me personally, this is not the school's position. This is me personally. If anybody has that information, I would like uh, uh, to get it, to support that brother. I'm not sure what the school's position is going to be on it, but I was extremely proud of them folks out there. Yeah, yeah, he definitely belongs in One West. With a spirit like that at 16, he definitely belongs in One West. Damn right. He said he was just doing what he was taught. Okay, okay. So we need to find out who taught him too. We need to find out who taught him. Get them into school. Damn right. That is just wonderful, man. I listen. I can't tell you how many times I watched that video. I can't tell you how many times I watched that video. I can't tell you how many times I was clapping when chairs was flying. I can't tell you how many times I was laughing as folks were falling in the water. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed it to see them folks bent over and broke down. I'm trying to tell you, it was exciting for me. It was absolutely exciting for me. Let me see. Right. Yeah, I didn't know about that either. I didn't know about that either. But hey, listen, we didn't start that situation. Again, this is me talking. I don't know the school's position. I probably might be talking too much about it as it is, but uh, this is me talking. You know, you need to stay in your place, she saw. You out here doing man things, and you got you out here in the line of fire. There's a reason why our women stay away from war. There's a reason that we don't bring our women to battle and go out to camp when we're warned. We don't like to put our ladies in harm's way. They really don't care. It don't seem like they care too much about them. But anyway, uh, but yeah. It was some. Listen, proud is probably an understatement from my perspective. I mean, I can't say it enough how it just made my day. It just really made my day, and I just kept watching it over and over and over again. All right, but we're going. And if anybody has not seen it, go find it. It is worth it. It is absolutely worth the watch. All right, uh, so as you can see from the title, it's a question. What is America's original sin? Now, there's a that's a term. If anybody is not familiar with it, that's a term that the oppressor claims. God, so you can hear the chair through the screen. God, absolutely, absolutely. Listen, they were out there to work. They were out there to do exactly what they did. And I don't know if that was even the same group. I don't even think some of these people probably even knew each other, which is even more so an example of just wonderful brotherhood. Now, if they all knew each other, they're still an example of wonderful brotherhood. But for some reason, I get the impression looking at the video that all these people probably didn't even know each other. Um, but again, absolute brotherhood, making sure the brother was not down there by himself getting completely beat down, because that is absolutely what their plan was. Once it went that direction, they were all it was gonna be a dog pile until the first brother came and started, started evening some numbers out. So absolutely a wonderful display of brotherhood. Couldn't be more proud of them. Another hand to them folks. All right, so um, America's original sin. Does anybody have a perspective on what America claims? Some of America claims the country's original sin is. Does anybody have any perspective on what some of Esau claims its original sin was in this country? All right, all right. Sister I in the building. All right, she said, I no sweat. Okay. Trooper Kazaki says slavery. That is correct. That is what they claim to be. the original sin. When they talk about, especially when politicians and folks like that talk about America's original sin, they're talking about slavery. They're talking about the transatlantic slave trade typically. Um, okay, give Officer Yagadar a hand. That is correct. They're talking about slavery, but we're gonna get into what the original sin is tonight. The sin that came before that one, if you will. Stolen land. All right, all right. Give Sister Coco a hand. She is definitely on track. Triple call support in the building. How about y'all show like a thumb? Let me see what you got here. You said kidnapping of our people amongst many things. Okay, that is true. That is true, and we're gonna get into some of that tonight. But the the what they claim to be original sin is actually, the transatlantic slave trade. Now we're gonna explain. We're gonna show tonight some history why that's not the case. Now, Sister Coco, Officer Yagadar both kind of alluded to it. So, if not the original, if not transatlantic slave trade, what was the huge thing that happened over again centuries, even before the transatlantic slave trade was um, underway in a strong manner? Right. Sister Alice said they have so many. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. You know what? And I'm having some. Y'all bear with me a second. I did not do everything I was supposed to. I'm having some slight technical difficulties. Let me get my stuff together. Let me get my stuff together. I'm out here trying to make Officer Yagadar proud because he be doing all this stuff and I be trying to keep up. It's a lot. Okay, so yeah, but outside of transatlantic slave trade, let's think about again. Officer Yagadar said tribe of Gad. What are some things that happened? Sister Coco says stolen land. Uh, Chuba Kazaki said murder. That's absolutely true. Oh, Salaki, I mean unalive. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Um, what else? Give me something else, particularly as it relates to our First Nation or Native American or Native Indian brothers and sisters. All right. Right. So they found land that was already found. Right. Right. How do you find? So how do you discover something that somebody else already is aware of? How are you aware? How have you made this discovery? But I'm already here. This is the analogy I gave my children, especially when they were young. I think it was my daughter's first time coming home talking about, we learned Christopher Columbus discovered America. I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, let's say you and I are riding around and we come up on this neighborhood that we didn't know about. Because we didn't know about it, nobody we knew know about it, but it's people living there. I said, did we discover it? And my daughter was like in elementary school at the time. She was like, no. I was like, exactly. This stuff is not rocket science. It's just programming. That's exactly what it is. So how do you find a land that's where somebody's already living? You discovered nothing. You absolutely discovered nothing. Hey, shalom, sis. Sister Nine in the building. Oh, no sweat. That's my fault, True Kazaki. That's my fault. I think you're all right in the chat. This. I don't think I'm supposed to be speaking that. Um, so they found land that was not theirs. They unalived. What else? What else? Somebody give me some more. Okay. Okay. Sister Coco said it took away our way of life. Give me some more. You're definitely on the right track. Give me some more. Expound on that a little bit, sis. Okay, unalived and enslaved the natives. That's absolutely true. That's exactly who we're speaking of right now. We're only. I want everybody again, just to reiterate, we're talking. We want y'all, everybody, to think about things that happen to our First Nation or Native American, Native Indian brothers and sisters. All right. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Officer Yagadar says, the Native Indians, so-called, went on slave ships first. Exactly. Exactly. They were raped, robbed, unalive. Absolutely, he is absolutely right. All of that happened. All right, true. Because like I said, they stole our culture and our heritage and changed our history. Um, I'm gonna. So it's interesting when you think about First Nation people. Um, I don't know if they would say that that happened. I don't know. I'd love to get obviously Urash perspective on that particular piece of it. The stealing of the heritage and the changing of the history. Because fortunately, a lot of our native, a lot of our First Nation brothers and sisters keep a lot of their culture more so than we do. Um, More so than we do, and again, the history is kind of there too. So I would be interested to see what Officer Rashomon's perspective is on that. I'll make sure I ask him that. Probably made Khan said they're probably mad they left any of them alive. Khan, you're absolutely right about that. Took away our identity. Okay, again, Sister Coco, I'm gonna expound on that a little bit more. And again, I was really interested when you said took away our way of life. That is very very intriguing to me, particularly based on the history. Um, okay, okay. Sis said we're no longer hunter and gatherers. Good example. Why? Let's talk about now why how that came to happen. In order to be a hunter and a gatherer, have that type of culture, what's the first thing you need? Right. Officer Yagadar said he took away a whole continent and gave them a couple of acres without any support from the outside. Right. Those are reservations. Those are reservations. These our brothers and sisters, predominantly, obviously, this was a northern tribe. Uh, they were all across this land, all across this country, and they forcibly took a lot of it. Manipulation was a lot of it. Um, but yeah, they absolutely took all of that land and then left them on reservations and basically saying, "Hey, fend for yourself now. Fend for yourself now." See, Triple Cross Brother says, "I don't know if you were alluding to Christopher Columbus finding and dealing with the massacre of natives, and I think it's tied to the Spanish Inquisition." Yes, that's part of it too. That's part of it too. Absolutely. All right. Sister Aya, she says they forced us to mimic their beliefs and as always systematically oppressed the people and took the strong leadership away. Yep, she's absolutely right. Let's see. Officer Yagadar said they destroyed the native Indian population. Hitler studied the reservation in America to help develop the concentration camps. Exactly. Exactly. All true. Took away the knowledge and brainwashed us and made us dependent on them for survival. I got you, no sweat. I knew exactly what you meant, sis. All true. So, going back to the hunter gatherer thing, and Officer Yagadar and I believe Sister Coco both have alluded to this or even stated it outright. In order to maintain a hunter gatherer type of culture, the first thing you need is the land. You don't have anywhere to go hunt if you don't have the land. You don't have any crops that you can try to maintain if you don't have the land. And we're going to find out that was the bulk of the wars and the conflict because the colonists were determined to take the land, and our brothers and sisters were determined for them not to. But because they were also, we're going to see it here in a second when we're going to go over some things, but they were so relentless in their pursuit to to just take and take and take and take and take. It set them up for failure. You cannot defend all the time. Like I keep aquariums, right? And I have some aggressive fish, and without fail, there's going to be one fish that decides to pick on the other fish. When you once you have that dynamic, it only ends one way. Either the fish that's being picked on is going to then attack back so relentlessly that the first one stops, or the other one's just going to overtake them. Because there is no, once you have that dynamic, there is no peace until somebody wins or somebody loses. Typically, when you're in that situation, the more relentless person or side is going to win. And that's what our brothers and sisters dealt with even before the transatlantic slave trade was well underway. All right. Let me see. Khan, absolutely. Yagadar says Esau is a merciless beast. Their hatred and brutality and murder never stops. Why? Right. That is absolutely true. Now tell me why. Who can tell me why that is? Particularly for our people. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, my rib says greed, evil, savages, the list goes on. Okay, that's true. That's true, it does. But specifically as it relates between Esau and the children of Israel, why are they so relentless? Why are they so merciless? Who can tell me that? Who can give me a precept for it? Let's say, I says they know our true identity and can't let us be great because it will destroy them. Okay, all right, all right. Officer Yagadar says Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because you know what? I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up. 35:5. Let's see. All right, y'all let me know if I need to make that any bigger. Y'all let me know. All right, it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I, so like in verse 6, therefore, as I live, saith the Most High Power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, and even blood shall pursue thee. Okay? All right? They do have a perpetual hatred. We see that in the Bible. They have a perpetual hatred for us. Why? I'm still going back to the why. That's a good precept. That's not what I was looking for. Let me see what else we got here. Hebrews 12 and 16. All right. Hebrews 12 and 16. Let's see. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, for one morsel of meat he sold his birthright, right? Okay. Okay. All right. We got to go back a little further than that. We got to go back a little further than that. But you want the right one. Okay. I like this next one. I like the next one. I do like the next one. I wonder if Officer Yagada be speaking into his phone sometimes or speaking into his computer because he does. This is right. Officer Yagada be typing fast. All right. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. No sweat. Keep doing your thing. Officer Yagada said in Montgomery, Alabama, bro, got a mic. Yeah, I'm right. They be estranged from the womb, exactly. But let's also go to Genesis 25. Oh, Salakia. Sister Nas said, Most High made him that way. That is absolutely true. She is absolutely right. Let me see. All right, Genesis 25 and 23. 25 and 23. It says, And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and one shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. We have been at this since we were in the womb. This is why it's a perpetual hate. It's a perpetual relentlessness. As Sister Nas said, Lord made him that way. Siagadar said, the wicked are strange from the womb. Absolutely. This is absolutely how and who they are. And we need to remember that. so that we don't allow a gift to spoil our heart or something like that. They give us we talked about it a couple of times, but they give us Juneteenth, and now they're so good, they're okay now. No, they are relentless. They absolutely are relentless, and there's no. We just have to remember that because there's no making it okay. There's no making it okay. No, y'all said series racist. Come, come. No sweat. No sweat. All right. So, but that's it. They're relentless. This is why we just need to know it. Nothing changes. We're going to see some of the same stuff that they did years and centuries ago. And some of the same stuff we have to deal with. Now, let me ask y'all this. See if y'all got some perspective on um, what was the what? How can I phrase this? How were we first? How were the First Nation people, Native Indians, so-called Native Americans? How were they first heavily impacted by Esau? What was one of the first things that happened once they arrived? They start building cities. They start colonizing. What was one of the first things that happened? Damn right, get a sister a hand. My rib said it doesn't change until we all come into the truth and follow these laws. Damn right. Damn right. Get a sister a hand. What was one of the first things that happened? Sure. Okay, that's true. That's true. The sister said we trusted them. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Let me rephrase it. What was the first consequences that we dealt with? Let's see. True, because like I said, treaties were made as Esau. So like the treaties were made that Esau broke. That did happen. It wasn't the first consequence. True. Officer Yagadar said we saved them, and then got them through the winter, etc. That's true. That's true. And that went hand in hand with Sister Rahaya's answer of trusting them, because initially we were weary of them, and then that's myself up more, and then we started we started trusting them, and then we started helping them, right? But again, okay, Officer Yagadar's on the right track. He says smallpox and blankets. That also happened, right? How did they know to put smallpox in blankets and give them to us? How did they know to do that? Should be Shamaga Bar in the building. How about Shema Shabbat, brother? How did the Europeans know to give smallpox and blankets in mass to our First Nation brothers and sisters? Who wants to give it a shot? Let's see. My brother said because the natives didn't know about smallpox, so they wouldn't know how to cure themselves. All right. You're partly right. You're partly right. You are absolutely right that they didn't know All right. Give sister a nod hand. And the First Nation people here didn't have the diseases that Esau had. So Esau quickly was able to observe, hey, they're dealing with this sickness, they're dealing with that sickness, things that they had already built up immunities for. But the Northern Kingdom had been over here so long that all that stuff that was going on in Europe and so-called Middle East and all that, different sicknesses did not happen over here because it was just us. So then Esau comes over, and then first thing we do is start trusting them, start helping them. They start building up. We start having relationships with them, and then we start catching their sicknesses and diseases. That was the first um, consequence that we dealt with. Right. Give Officer Yagadar a hand. Absolutely. We started getting sick with different diseases because we weren't immune to them. Exactly. Measles, chicken pox, scarlet fever, so on and so forth. All right. And we're going to get into some of the details. But again, so I think for the next few classes, um, what I'm going to do is concentrate on our First Nation brothers and sisters and the history that they have that is also prophesied in the Bible. Because a lot of times, us as Judites, most of us, we focus on the transatlantic slave trade and things of that nature. One, not even aware that our First Nation brothers and sisters actually started that. The first so-called slaves to be shipped in the transatlantic slave trade were Native Americans, First Nation people shipped to Europe. And a lot of us don't think about that. But there's also, again, the prophecies in the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy. A lot of them we focus on, like I said, the transatlantic slave trade. We focus on the family breaking up. We focus on a lot of that. What we don't focus on are a lot of the scriptures that we're going to get into tonight, and the evidence of that throughout history. All right, so we're going to go first. Where are we going to go first? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 21. All right, Deuteronomy 28 and 21. It says, "The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee." What is pestilence? Who can tell me what pestilence is? Hell, y'all give sister nine. She said Esau was thinking go a whole year without bathing. Rotten teeth, disease ridden, but trying to act like they so civilized. Give that sister an absolute head. She is absolutely right. She is absolutely right. Oh, come on, phone. Okay. Yep. Get you some Gabar hand. Diseases. Oh man, y'all getting it. Salaki. Um, not necessarily different types of bugs. Um, but definitely diseases. I think you're thinking of pests, I believe. Well, it could be, but I'm not sure. I know definitely diseases. Yeah, diseases. No sweat. No sweat. Uh, right. If Cicera had fatal epidemic diseases, especially bubonic plague. Exactly. She right though. Listen, this was years ago, way before I was in the truth. I was on my slave one day, and I heard this oppressor. She was like, I haven't taken a bath in a couple days, so I guess I'll do that in the morning. I was like, wow, how do you what kind of terrible, horrible, horrible. And that's was so comfortable with it. And of course, I'm looking around at everybody else like, so nobody else is shocked, huh? Nobody else is shocked. And I was the only brother. It was wow. But y'all are absolutely right. They don't like to get like to get wet like that. Crazy tomato perfect. The last days of order to right, right. Right, they do that. Deodorant the last days and days, so they ain't gotta get back, and take care of things with some soap and water. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But let me but it said this is the prophecy. If we did not follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Now the Lord said he will make the Salaki, the most high shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land. What does that word consume mean? Right? Y'all getting it tonight. Truthfully, because I can say that's why they smell like hair smell like dog all the time. Y'all are getting it in. Like, y'all are getting it in. Y'all are not wrong though. Y'all are absolutely right. Yeah, you huh? Yeah, they don't like to wash their hands. Yeah, they had to wear clothes. Right, they be walking all around the walking all around the stores barefoot. I mean, listen, Sister Nasa, I have them as patients in their home, and they use the bathtubs. Whoa, terrible, terrible. Good night. All right, let me see. Ingest. Okay, that is a definition of consume. Not in this context though. Not in this context. Consume means to be dismantled. Okay, that's closer to it. That's closer to it. Let me see. Let me get the actual definition right. In this case, think um who kind of who's ever heard of a medical condition called consumption? Who's ever heard of that? Kind of what's the problem? Okay, we got one la no sweat. All right, Officer Yagadar has heard of it. All right. All right, give Trooper Shamaga Bar a hand. It's regular. So he said it's TB, tuberculosis. That's what they used to call tuberculosis because they didn't know what it was. So they used to call it consumption. And they used to call it that based on what happened to a person's body because they just wasted away. So think about it. This, okay, yeah, no sweat. No sweat. No sweat. Yeah, so think about that consumption, that consumed like that. That's what it's about. It's talking about you're gonna be destroyed. And to the actual definition of consumed or consume is to do away with completely or destroy. So again, the Most High is saying you're gonna make the pestilence is gonna cleave. You're gonna have sickness cleave unto you, and you're gonna be destroyed. Now, it's all we're going to see later in this chapter where it talks about consumption, where it's referencing more as a medical type of disposition. But again, this is all talking about the health. And then the last part it says, "Whither thou goest to possess it." And if we get verse 22, the Most High shall smite thee with the consumption. There it is. Thought it was later. With the consumption, right? Now that consumption is not necessarily speaking specifically about TB, but about, again, what happens to the body. You're going to be sick. You're going to waste away. And again, it goes on. It says, with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. So this is talking about all types of destruction that the children of Israel are going to come under if we don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Most of these two verses obviously are about health, fevers, pestilence, inflammation, all that. But there's also blasting and mildew, which I believe is speaking in reference to crops. And then obviously you have the sword, which is Esau's favorite weapon, right? All right. So, but that sickness was prophesied in the Bible. The sickness that the brothers that several of y'all talked about was the first thing. I believe Sister Nah might have been the first one to catch it. But that sickness, that impact was prophesied in the Bible. All right. So now we're going to get into more of this actual article. Now this is probably going to be too small, and I don't think I can fix it. All right. See, y'all just gonna have to rock with me a little bit tonight. All right. Now I got to give a bit of a disclaimer. This article has some decent, it has some good facts in it. It's also swayed because it's written from a perspective, not even whether, not attempting to debate whether America committed genocide against our First Nation brothers and sisters, but it just kind of lays it out there and allows you to debate it yourself. So it kind of gives both sides of it, which I don't really care for that. But the facts are still there and they're useful. All right. So, let me see. Oh, y'all so that's heavy because all of the heathen are nasty and we have cleanliness built into our law. Exactly. I don't eat none of their food, etc. Exactly. Exactly. We have, listen, and this is something that people just are so they so misunderstand what's in the Bible because of Christianity, right? Because of Christianity, people don't look at the laws. They look at it as control. I mean, it is, but it's also a culture. It's a culture that we have. We have a culture of being clean. That's a cultural thing. That's something that you teach your children. Or if you're a heathen, you don't. Or if you're Esau, you don't taking a bath and a shower is not high on your priorities when you're raising your child because that's your culture. Our culture has laws built into it so that we will make sure that we are clean and we can make sure that we don't catch these diseases. That's part of the culture. But people get it, especially our people. Um, we're so hell bent on not allowing somebody to tell us what to do, and we're so committed to doing everything we want to do, as opposed to what the Most High says and what's good for the nation. that we don't want to follow any of these others. If you tell me I got to do it, that's the one thing I'm not going to want to do. And we're so destroyed as a people, we may be already doing it until somebody tells us to. Well, no, I'm not going to do that then. So yeah, you are absolutely right, Officer Yagana. All of those nations have. I mean, listen. I don't know if y'all have ever walked into a corner store with an East Indian running it, but you can get to that counter and it can knock you off your feet because that aroma, they don't believe in deodorant at all, and it's tough. Who kind of who has had that experience? You might have to stop there to get some gas or whatever. You go to the counter and you can almost see it. Kind of who's had that experience? Because again, these other nations are less concerned about their hygiene. Um, let's see. Where do I want to start here? I don't really want to go through that. Oh well, this is one thing I want. Horrible experience. Horrible experience. Con, con. Okay, Con, you seen it? Yeah, Con, yeah, Con. Oh, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, you can almost see it. I mean, it might knock you down. It might knock you down. You need to be prepared when you roll up in there. Y'all about to show about the Lock yeah. I don't see Rasha Moth in the building. Right, right. Ham, Elam, Esau. Listen, they do not care. They have no care about their hygiene. Absolutely right. They have different type of smells. Okay, but let's get back. Oh, this is one thing. I'm gonna get back to this. This is one thing I wanted to get y'all this perspective on. This is why I did highlight this entire thing. Because there are arguments that people make. Now again, this is Esau. These arguments are Esau arguing Esau. Okay. Just for predominantly. About whether America actually committed genocide on uh, uh, our Native American brothers, our First Nation brothers. So Kanala'a, what do y'all think? Khan, that's what they did or attempted to do. La'a, they did not. And then I'm gonna give y'all the argument on both sides, basically. Y'all let me know. Is that where I wanted to be? Kana La'a. All right. So Yagdar says Khan without a shadow of a doubt, straight war crimes. Damn right. Miss Coco says Khan. All right. Who else? Was that I think that was a Khan from Sister Anna too. All right. So this is the deal, and I want to make sure we have this in case anybody gets into a battle where they have to um, make the argument. So when we look up, there you go. Look, see, I swear that's why I love Officer Yakadar. He always with me. Genocide. That's what I was looking up. The deliberate and systematic destruction of a racial, political, or cultural group. Now this is where the debate comes in, though, right? If you could, let me see if y'all can get there. Given what we know happened to our First Nation brothers and sisters, given the fact that everybody said Khan, everybody thought this was, a clear case of genocide, right? Multiple cases of genocide. Given the definition, what would be the argument? No sweat. The why, obviously, y'all know. Given the definition, how could someone argue that it wasn't? And you got to kind of think like that'd be, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. Right now, you got to think about how Esau thinks. Because like you said, is it possible to argue that? Listen, we talking about Esau. We talking about Esau. You know they're gonna have listen. There's an argument. There's an argument. Who wants to give it a shot? Obviously, Agdar says it's impossible for us, easy for Esau, aka manifest destiny. Um, I think I see what you're saying. What's impossible for us? You mean to do that? Maria said because they some of them. I'm not sure what that means. Y'all give me a little bit of clarity. Give me a little bit of clarity. Let's go back to this definition now. The deliberate and systematic destruction of a racial, political, or cultural group. Okay, that's one argument. All right, get a sister a hand. Give her a hand. One argument that they make is, well, it's not genocide because they didn't take them all out. All right. So then okay, well, is it attempted genocide? They still say no. I'm gonna go back to the definition. Oh, I understand. I understand what you're saying. Officer Yagudar said it's impossible for us to present an argument supporting that treatment of Gad. I understand what you're saying. I do. Absolutely. That being said, and we're not supporting it. I just want to get y'all to understand the thought pattern. Right. Okay, Sister Now said Esau will say how when you kill when you unalive your own kind. Right, that's true. Right, no one said it was a good argument. Right, this is not a good argument. So I'm gonna go back to the definition. I'm gonna give it to y'all. And again, this is why you gotta be aware of who Esau is because they slick with these words. The answer is in the second word, deliberate. Ah, Give Officer Yarash a hand. That is a great point that he just brought out. He said if America admits to the genocide against the natives, then America would have to accept that they are just like the Germans who persecuted Jewish people. Right. That is an awesome point. That is an awesome point as far as why they don't want. They're never really going to admit it. This is something that they're fully aware of, and they just debate with amongst themselves to make the case. But it's that word deliberate. Now, what we're going to find out is they came over here and just through sickness, 50 to 90% of the natives were taken out just through sickness. And then they turned around and uh, through wars, through battles, through manipulation of treaties and all of that, they continue to dwindle their numbers. I mean, we know what it is now. We know that Captain Natazat Nashah says it all the time. People don't even realize the natives are still around. People don't realize that outside of a reservation that you even still have, First Nation people. People think that they're all but gone. But yet, there's this debate about whether that was a genocide. And that deliberate word is the one that they hang on. That's the argument they make. Well, even though millions of people were taken out because of sickness, even though we stole all of this land, even though we have records of and history of people being massacred, even though, something I'm going to bring out on the next class where there was a paper genocide. I'm going to bring that out. Even though all that happened, their argument is, well, you can't prove whether it was deliberate. We don't know whether it was deliberate. Those things just happened. It wasn't like the government made a concerted effort to do these things, even though that was the expectation across the board. Esau is slick, and we got to know that. All right. Let's see. Officer Yagadar says the evil bastards who say slavery benefits us in 2023. They can defend anything. Exactly. Get that brother a hand. That brother a hand. That is absolutely true. Obviously, Hiroshima says, but they say natives killed natives and went to war with themselves. They died by diseases from the contact of new people and all that garbage. Kanawakan. And we're going to see some of it again as it was prophesied. Some of it was absolute sickness, but that was like a discovery. Like, oh, we can do that, and then it became a purposeful thing. Right. So that's why he stated that Hitler copied America's. Yep, I stated in Mein Kampf. Right. Right. That's where Hitler got it from. Absolutely. All right. So let me see. Where's that statement? Okay, it says, however one resolves the question of genocide in American Indian history, it is important to recognize that European and U.S. settler colonial projects unleashed massively destructive forces on native peoples and communities. These include violence resulting directly from settler expansion, intertribal violence, frequently aggravated by colonial intrusions. As Officer Yaraj said, they say that the natives killed the natives. Often that was aggravated by Esau. Often that was aggravated by Esau. Officer Yaraj says the oppressor will trick you into hating your own people, then blame you for everything, even though you are only the victim. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. COINTELPRO, exactly. That is a tactic that has been going on for centuries, literally centuries. If anybody's aware of what they did to the like the Black Panther Party, where they went in and destroyed those brothers and made them enemies with one another. That's exactly what they do. That's their tactic, and it's been happening for centuries. It happened with our brothers in the First Nation. Right. They IUIC our native brothers and sisters. Absolutely. Exactly what happened. All right. It goes on. Enslavement, disease, alcohol, loss of land and resources, forced removals, and assault on tribal religion, culture, and language. And how was that? What did they force Native Indians to do from a so-called religious perspective? Hold on 1 second. Let me find what I want. Give off Siagadar hand. That's exactly what they did. Exactly what they did. They forced Christianity, and it was by the sword. Again, something that has been going on for centuries. This is not new. Let's see. All right. And what they also found was that they understated their impact. So this says until the 1960s, scholars lacked an appreciation for the massive loss of life from what Alfred Crosby termed virgin soil epidemics. And this goes back to all of this impact from these diseases. And so they drastically understated the size of the pre-Columbian Western Hemisphere population, meaning it's like how many people were over here before Columbus came. So the standard estimate was 8 million for the entire hemisphere, and about 1 million for really the North America, what we call America today, north of the Rio Grande. So in the 1960s, however, the anthropologist Henry Dobbins took account of disease to provide much higher estimates of 75 million for the hemisphere and 10 to 12 million north of Mexico. Although Dobbins' estimates have been hotly debated, even advocates of much lower figures acknowledge the impact of the devastating epidemics. Um, um, let's see. So Michael Barr is absolutely right. They tricked them into thinking that they could befriend them. Right, right. Because initially, our First Nation brothers were weary of him, but then they started looking out for him. And then they started, oh, okay, well, yeah, we're friends. And then I want your land, and you got to go. Absolutely right. Also, Yagadar says natives have been saying since then that white man speaks with a forked tongue. Absolutely. Absolutely. You cannot trust him. You cannot trust him. And that's why he's the most subtle beast of the field. That is why. What does subtle mean? Let's get that definition real quick. cunning, crafty, elusive. Can't trust him. It's that simple. He is the most subtle beast of the field because he's, and as Officer Yagadar said, he speaks with the forked tongue. You cannot trust them. They will tell you one thing and and absolutely do the opposite. And the reason why we got called sheep in the Bible is because our natural nature is not that. That's why, listen, that's why we always talk so much about keeping it real. We are honest people, even to a fault. Even to a fault. But because of that, we don't understand how somebody can be so deceptive, which is what devil means. It means deceiver. We typically don't understand how someone can be so deceptive in their dealings, but they do it often and easily. They do it often and easily. All right. Salaki. So Wada, yes, everybody hit the thumbs up button. Absolutely. Um, what else we got? Okay, here we go. Thank you, Officer Young. I was looking for that scripture early. For water, brother. Let me write that down. I was looking for that early. I appreciate it. I'm right. Says never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Absolutely. All right. So we can go back, get a little bit more from this essay. This is comparing. This section of the essay is comparing what happened between Columbus's first and second voyages. The first one, there wasn't really a whole lot of impact. The second one, it says the situation was different on Columbus's second voyage, which was 1493 to 1496. So we can see that's before the transatlantic slave trade really was getting underway. It says soon after landing, some of the crew became ill, probably from influenza, so they had the flu, and infected the native populations of Hispaniola, which is current day Haiti and Dominican Republic, Cuba, and Jamaica. The severity of the epidemic was probably related to the prior lack of exposure of Indians to the pathogens in question. Though the epidemic cannot be separated from other forces of destruction, the expedition's goal was not supposedly the expedition's goal was not to unalive Indians, but as its leaders and men pursued their main objective, which was acquiring gold, supposedly, they did exactly that. To obtain gold, Spaniards needed Indians' knowledge and labor, and so enslaved them, used violence to secure native peoples, and keep them in chains. This is things that are, listen, typical Judahites. We don't think about this stuff. We don't understand it. We don't understand that our First Nation brothers and sisters went through these same things. Says some accounts, such as one by Bartolome de las Casas, I believe is how you pronounce that, of Spaniards making bets as to who would slit a man in two or cut off his head with one at one blow, or tearing babes from their mother's breast by their feet and dashing their heads against the rocks. Somebody give me the precept why that everybody thinks we're terrible when we use it, when we bring it up, when we bring a precept that somebody give it to me because it jumped in my head as soon as I read that. This is a precept that the world and Christians and brothers and sisters in the world and Esau, oh, they tell us we are absolutely horrible. for quoting this scripture. Right, right. But they ain't mean no harm though. Right, right. There you go. There you go. Give Officer Yagadar a hand. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Happy we're going to be when we get to do that. Why? Because they did it to us. Because they did it to our brothers and sisters. They did it to our forefathers. They made bets about who could do this. So, yes, when we quote that scripture, happy will we be? Yeah, damn right. That's called justice. Damn right. Sign me up too. Sign me up too. Damn right. It goes on though. It says, let me move this up a little bit. It says those things suggest a genocidal mentality. Though such accounts may imply that these actions were the product of particularly depraved men and unrelated to the purpose of their expedition. So this is the argument too. Although they acknowledge the facts, then they give you the argument that, well, I mean, those are just a few bad apples. Those are just a few bad apples. You can't say that America committed genocide or the colonists tried to commit genocide. That was just those people. This is the deceptive argument. Becky with the baseball. Becky with the baseball. You crazy. But this is the argument that, well, it's not necessarily deliberate. They did it, but it wasn't deliberate. It wasn't. And this is where they really sidestep the argument. Well, we don't know that the government sanctioned this. We don't know that this was an order that came down in any type of military way. It's still the same thing because their culture is wicked. They are absolutely violent. And they are absolutely dangerous to our people. All right. Let's see. In fact, however, expeditions leaders saw violence as essential for achieving their goals to create and maintain slavery and to suppress real and imagined insurrections. The Spanish regularly maimed, unalived, and waged war against native people. Supposedly, the purpose was not to unalive every single native, as it goes on. Why? Because someone needed to work. But our destruction is all the same. When you enslave a people, and this is where again Esau's so slick. Esau would say, well, hey, we didn't unalive everyone. We had to have some of them work. So clearly that's not genocide. What? But this is Esau. PTSD and depression. Ah, wait a minute. Oh, I got you. Right. They save even ones that sue for pain and suffering. Right. Claim PTSD and depression. Right. Right. But this is the nature of their people, and this is why. Listen, we always got to be very, very aware when people start talking about, well, you were never enslaved, and nobody alive ever owned any slaves, and blah 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 blah. No, that's the nature of their people, and we as Israelites get so cautious about saying that because, again, even that's Stockholm syndrome. Our response to it. We don't want to look at them for who they are because we don't want to have to defend who we are because they look at us all the same. Their arguments, so on and so forth. We don't take care of our communities. That's they're all like that. Which is why we need to come into this school so we can understand the history of why our communities are like that. It's less about who we are and it's more about what they've done to us, how they've destroyed us. That's why our communities are the way they are. That's why our families are the way they are, destroyed. That's why we don't have fathers in the home. So we have mothers trying to raise sons and daughters on their own, not instilling the strength and the discipline that a father would. Our communities are destroyed because there's no men, stand up, strong men in them. Our brothers are destroyed because there's a systematic, purposeful effort to keep us on drugs and in jail. But we're so destroyed as a people outside of this truth, outside of ISUPK, that we don't understand all of that. All of that. We don't understand that. So then we start, as Officer Yaraj, I believe, said it earlier, we start to blame ourselves. We start to blame our sisters and brothers. And because of that, then we don't want to blame the oppressor. We don't want to say that the oppressor is this, the oppressor is that, the oppressor is the reason. We don't want to say the oppressor is a savage when it's absolutely true, not because of their skin color, because of who they are and what they do and what they have done historically and today. Let's keep going though. It says, but to terrorize them into submission, rape, evidently common, did not simply reveal individual or group pathologies. It functioned as a tool of terror. Violence then was central to Spanish colonization in the Caribbean, although far more Indians died from disease, malnutrition, and starvation. All right. Where else did I want to go? At this section, little evidence is available for the death toll in the first few years of Spanish colonization. It is clear, however, that the Spanish colonizing project expanded in the early 16th century. Its destructive impacts, or as the Spanish colonizing project expanded in the early 16th century, its destructive impacts escalated. Violence continued to be a factor. In 1502, Nicolas de Ovando, the Spanish governor of Hispaniola, massacred some 600 to 700 Indians in the chiefdom of, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I think it's Higoy, whom had rebelled in protest of the Spanish use of attack dogs. Nothing is new. This oppressor has been doing this for centuries, literally. Attack dogs. We just saw the brother a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so. Got attacked by a dog. We all know. He was standing there with his hands up. The other officer said, don't do it. He released the dog anyway. We've all seen footage of the 60s of our brothers and sisters getting attacked by attack dogs because they're out there, protesting. This is in the early 1500s. They were protesting the use of attack dogs. So that was one of them. Violence continued to be a factor, as did malnutrition and disease, specifically dysentery and typhus, etc. Under conditions of coerced labor and economic disruptions. Another major epidemic is smallpox. We've all heard about smallpox with our First Nation brothers, but it swept through the islands in 1518 and 19. By this time, however, the indigenous population of the major lands had already been greatly reduced. This is before smallpox became a factor. On Hispaniola, only 20 to 30,000 adult Tainos remained alive, far fewer than the pre-Columbian population of at least several hundred thousand, and by some estimates as high as 8 million. We're talking about what, 100 years later? Not even, no, Slovakia. We're talking about like 30 years. Now my date's off. We're talking about like 30 years. It went from either several hundred thousand, and some say as much as a million, to 20, 30,000 adult Taínos. In this instant, then smallpox, so often appearing as an initial destroyer, arrived with a horrific catastrophe well underway, meaning they were already being destroyed, and then smallpox showed up. By 1542, the native population of Hispaniola was only 2,000. Enslaved Africans were now, so-called Africans, were now the main source of labor. They killed, they unalived, raped, robbed, and did everything to the natives until they destroyed them all but completely. And then we'll go get so-called Africans, which we know and hear, and then they came to get the Southern Kingdom. The audacity of these devils to even write this garbage shows that they are ashamed and proud, unashamed and proud as hell. Right, right, right. Let's see. Let's get some more. Yep. Says in what became the southeastern United States, as historian Paul Kelton has showed, Ponce de Leon 1513 expedition and subsequent Spanish explorations did not introduce new diseases into the region, though disruptions from these expeditions created conditions for already existing pathogens like syphilis and yaws to spread. I had never heard of yaws. Yaws is this like um, skin disease that's easily caught and pretty contagious. Said it was not until the late 17th century that the classic killer smallpox appeared. When it did, its spread was closely connected with the British colonial project of exploiting existing indigenous practices of captive taking to create markets for both slaves outside Indian country and for European goods. Again, this is the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. The First Nation brothers and sisters were the first ones. All right. Manufacturing alcohol clothing within it. The slave trade directly contributed to the depopulation of many Indian communities, but its most damaging consequence was the creation of conditions for the transmission of epidemic diseases. When smallpox broke out in Virginia in 1696, it spread rapidly among networks of human contact, which had been shaped by violence. I read this word earlier, deracination, which is basically removing people from their homes, deprivation, destroying Indian communities from the Carolinas to the Gulf Coast, up and up the Mississippi River to Illinois. So, to Officer Yarashimoto's point, a lot of the argument that we hear is just about, well, the sickness, the diseases is what did it. The diseases took them out. It was that exacerbated by the conditions, exacerbated by the oppression, exacerbated by the fact that there was violence. You're taking people out of their homes. You're not allowing them to. You're destroying their land, or you're just taking it so they can't use the resources. You're destroying the communities, and it went from the Carolinas to the Gulf and up as high as Illinois. But we got fake Israelite groups out here who want to say that Native Indians are not Israel, when they absolutely embody and experience and have experienced and continue to experience the curses that are in the Bible, the prophesied curses, particularly from Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, let me see. Let me stop sharing that real quick. Um, which one did I want to pull? There it is. Deuteronomy 28 and 51 says, "And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed." This was our native brother's land, and Esau came and completely stole it. We haven't even gotten that far down the timeline yet, but we're gonna get there. But even this early, they destroyed communities, moved people off their land after Slovakia. It says, "In the fruit of the land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or increase of thy kind, of flocks or flocks of thy sheep, until he hath destroyed thee." Remember, the natives helped these folks at first, helped them with their crops, helped them learn how to live off the land, and then they stole it. And they stole the fruit of their crops. They stole the, like you said, corn, wine, oil, increase of thy kind, everything. It's now mine. All the resources that our native brothers helped them to get through horrible winters because they did not know what to do. Our First Nation brothers helped them here. This is how you do this. This is when you want to plant your corn. This is when you want to plant this crop over here. This is when you want to grow this over here. This is how you need to, follow the game, so you're not over hunting it. You have to. We were an agricultural people. We knew how long to farm in a particular spot, because then you have to give it the soil time to rest. So you have to move to another section. Now we can grow it over here for a while. We need to go. We need to know when to grow certain crops, so that they can be ready for harvest at a certain time. These people didn't know none of that. Somebody name me one crop that comes out of Europe other than potatoes. I don't know. I could be wrong. I think they got potatoes. That's about it. So they came over here with no knowledge, learned from the people that were here, even though they discovered it, supposedly. And then they worked to destroy our brothers, and sisters, to destroy the family. Right. Right. Maybe that. And we're not eating that either. Not either. We're not eating that, so that don't even matter. But then people, like I said, the fake Israelite groups want to say that our First Nation brothers and sisters aren't really Israel. It's nonsense. No, before I do that, cancel. All right. Um, okay. Yep. Let's get to this one too, real quick. And again, the understanding that we need to get, one, is that our First Nation brothers and sisters went through the same types of hell that we did and continue to under this oppressor. But they're also the narrative is all. The narrative is just about um, the sickness. Now, while the sickness was prophesied, it was made worse by the suppressor. It says smallpox first appeared in the region, which is this talking about the upper west coast now. So you're talking about, as it says, Washington, Oregon, British Columbia. It says smallpox first appeared in the region in the mid 1770s, probably transmitted by Spanish expeditions landing along the coast. Over the next 50 years, smallpox epidemics continued to devastate native communities, though in contrast to expectations of a linear population decline, meaning it didn't go like this, right? It said Northwestern Indians were able to recover a good part of their post-contact losses. Indians had time to recover between epidemics, and these epidemics became less severe over time as surviving populations acquired immunity to a greater range of diseases. So instead of it just going straight down, it kind of went like this because they would come and then go. Because Esau would come and then go, and once they left and left them alone for a period of time, then they would have some time there. The populations could recover. Esau comes back, and we in the same thing, right? Um. Oh, come. You're absolutely right. Yeah, they did bring the swine over here. It says no for real. Columbus and crew brought swine to America 1500. You are absolutely right, Salaki. Um, right, it's biological warfare. Absolutely biological warfare. But it goes on, right? It says during these decades, Indians in the region were not subject to other massively destructive forces. The main European colonial project in the Northwest was the fur trade. The exchanging furs to Europe for Europe's goods occasionally led to disputes and sometimes became violent. Over time, trade encouraged consumption of alcohol, prostitution, destruction of game, all forces that damaged Indian health and community well-being. So the more that they dealt with this oppressor, the worse our communities became. This is biblical prophecy. This is biblical prophecy. Now, let me see. Not joining with another nation. Not now, commerce is one thing, but we started to take on their practices. Again, we had our culture at that point, but just dealing with them more led us to the greater consumption of alcohol, prostitution, which is absolutely against the law, destruction of game, all forces that damaged Indian health and community well-being. This is what happens when we start to take on the spirit and culture of this oppressor and not being fully aware that they are our enemies. Um, is that where I wanted to go? No, I don't think so. Keep going. All right. Actually, that's getting into a different section. So I'm gonna stop that right there. All right. Like I said, these next few classes, um, we're going to get into more and more of the history of our First Nation brothers and sisters, so we can have an even greater understanding that they are also Israel. So we can, give us some more. Give us some more in case we get into battles with anybody. In case anybody does not understand, we can be able to fully articulate why not only us, because I think most of so-called Judah and Judites, everybody, of course, they want to just make it about Judah because we were so devastated by the transatlantic slave trade. But what people don't understand is our First Nation brothers and sisters were also devastated by the arrival of this oppressor. All right. So we're going to get into some more of that over the next few classes. Slovakia. Let me see. All right, and we're going to do the security announcements if I can find them real quick. All right, we are the ISUPK start out at 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Roof for new brothers and sisters. Uh, Thawada, I appreciate it. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, Camp Leader will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister is interested in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get brother and sister will get permission to marry from the head. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find it in Numbers 18 and 21 on Malachi 3 verses 8 through 10. It means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you. You can give it to the Treasury Department. You can also go to isupk.com and you can pay your tithes there through PayPal. You'll get all your records through your email and stuff like that. All right. Priest fund is a free will offering to the priest. It's not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations. The next one is the memorial blowing of trumpets, and that is September 15th. I believe we are planning to have that at the school, but everybody keep an eye and an ear out for that for more information. All right. Um, what else? If any brother wants to become a trooper in the school, you need to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, war scarf. Get in contact with Officer Yaraj or Captain Natazak Shah to let them know, and that's what you want to do, and they will get you straight from there. All right. And with that, we say shalom. Yabashem Shabakatam to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alathan, Ba'ashem Yahshua to the sisters. Shalom, Israel.